Welcome back to the channel, guys. Tool reviews of tools I use. Today I'm going to take you through my magnetic trays, which I've used for a long time. This is one of my favourite tools. Even though it's not a tool as such, it helps me whenever I'm using my actual tools. These particular ones, these larger ones that you can see, work really well whenever I'm working on my car. I can stick these on the bonnet, on the front, on the sides, and I know I've got somewhere to put my tools. Particularly this larger one, you can see it's got the 3 magnets on the bottom. This is one of my favourite ones because I can store a whole bunch of tools on this, and I know that they've got a proper placement. They're not going to fall into the engine bay and get lost. I'm not going to misplace them or anything like that. Once the tools are on there, they stay on absolutely solid. This is one of those items that it really doesn't matter about brand names. I haven't come across any brand names that make them any better. There's really high profile brand names. This is only a cheap brand name, but what you'll see on a lot of these trays is that they've stamped the name onto the actual round bits here a lot of the time. But the tin is the same. The metal is the same. It's still the same old stainless steel. It's still the same strength magnets. It's still the same vinyl coating on the back of them. I can never see any actual benefits. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, if you know of any better ones, but they're all the same except they just get stamped with different names. So these are the ones I've got. This particular one, I don't know why I picked this one up for any other reason. I didn't pay particularly any extra for it, but it works all the same as the other ones. I tend to use the larger ones for tools, and I tend to use like smaller ones like this for nuts, screws, bolts, anything that I take off a car I tend to put in here. And I just took delivery of this today. You can clock the brand, but the brand wasn't displayed when I bought it from eBay. I got it for an absolute steal. These 3 trays came in about the same price as what I paid for this when I bought it, so it was really it was an absolute bargain. And yeah, you'll see that again, it's just made exactly the same as all the other ones. Yeah, so exactly the same backings and everything like that. But I'm really looking forward to putting this particular one here in my plumbing toolbox. If you check out my other videos, you'll see my toolbox tours. I've got quite a few of them, but my plumbing toolbox, I've been dying to have one of these for ages because it just gives me the ability, if I'm taking apart taps or showers or anything like that, anything where you just end up with odd screws and things like that, I can put them in here. I know they've got a place, they're not going to get lost. Nothing worse than it dropping down the sink. So just having that on hand, and even if the fitting that you're trying to store in here is not magnetic, even just having a focal point, just something that you can put them into, just means they're not going to roll off the edge. They're not going to get lost quite as easily. You can always knock them over, and especially if they're not stuck to, if the magnet isn't stuck to anything, you always run that risk of spilling it. But generally, just having somewhere where I can put it out of the way and I know exactly where those little items are is just a real bonus. So this one, because it weighs virtually nothing but has real utility value, I'm really looking forward to putting that in my plumbing toolbox. As for these ones, I'm going to double this one up and I'm going to put that in my mechanic toolbox. If you check out that toolbox tour, you can see I've got one in there already. I'm just going to stick another one in there, and the rest, you almost can't ever have too many of them. They're just fantastic. Like I say, I use them all the time. I really don't like taking anything apart unless I've got these on hand, because I just find them so incredibly useful just for not losing parts and for also organizing. So you see that the magnets, the way that they're set up, everything tends to bind to each individual magnet, as you would expect. So I can actually use like this side for the screws and this side for the bolts, or if I took things off an engine I can put them on this side if they were from the left, and this side if they were from the right. It's just however you organize it, however it works for you. You'll always find a use for it. They're absolutely brilliant. Even just for storing things upside down, if you haven't got the space, you can put this on the underside of a steel bonnet, and you can even put your tools just upside down. It's yeah, so long as they're steel, they'll stick to it. So yeah, if you haven't got one already, pick one up. I'd put money on it that if you pick one up, you'd probably pick up a few more, and I wouldn't blame you, just like I have. So yeah, if you like the content, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.